Golfer's elbow. It's another common condition that we end up with a lot in golf, as you might imagine. We always think about it as an elbow-related condition, but it actually has a lot more to do with our wrists and our shoulders. And that is because our elbow, believe it or not, is a rotating joint. And typically it ends up being the place where the stress gets transferred when we can't rotate through our shoulder or we end up doing funky stuff in our wrist. The way that we want to make sure we warm our bodies up to make sure that our shoulders, elbows, and wrists are working the best they can so that we're taking the stress off the inside of our elbow every time we swing, we're going to do it through CARs. The first CAR we're going to do is in our shoulder. A CAR is a controlled articular rotation. The way that we go about that is basically trying to draw as big of a circle as we can through only one joint at a time. In the shoulder, the way that that goes is we fully rotate, we cut across our body as far as we can, and we come all the way across and up while we're trying to maintain as much of that rotation as we possibly can. When we get to a point where we're going to run out of space, we can't move any farther unless we let that rotation go, that's when we just let it start to spin out, kind of like we're wringing out a towel now. So we're just going to spin around as we get this palm all the way behind us facing upwards. From there, we keep it rotated palm up till we get down here, and we reverse the direction. Go all the way back, palm up. Again, when we run out of space, we start to wring that towel out the other way until we are all the way up overhead and palm facing backwards. Through here, the palm stays up as we come around across as far as possible. Again, just drawing that circle as big as we can while we maintain the rotation all the way down to our side. Again, the goal here is only to move about the shoulder. We're going to get some forearm rotation and we're going to get a little bit of thoracic spine movement, but we want as much as possible to be focusing on that shoulder. The second part, we want to make sure we're warming up our elbows. This is going to look a little bit like a bicep curl, but with a focus on maintaining that rotation. So what we do is we go palms up, hard as we can out. We're going to keep trying to twist them out as we work our way up into a bicep curl. When we get up to the top, squeezed as tight as we can, we rotate them back to palms down. This time we're going to try still getting the thumbs towards the floor. We're going to keep trying to rotate more and more and more as we push all the way down. Thinking about almost like the air got thicker. We're trying to push that air away as we try to rotate. From here, we just go in the other direction. So we're going to keep trying to push down towards the floor rotation-wise as we lift our hands. Again, thinking about pushing through some sludge. Twist them back all the way to palms up. Maintain the palms up, and if anything, trying to get more and more and more as we push back towards the floor. And that looks super easy on camera. It is not if you were doing a good job. It gets pretty tricky. Last but certainly not least, in the wrist. There are a couple ways we can do this. Typically, two hands it's easier because you can do them at the same time. But what you'll notice about a wrist and a controlled articular rotation in the wrist is that wrists don't actually rotate. Any of this that happens, it actually happens from our elbow. So through this entire motion, what we don't want to see is any tipped. So no palms in, no palms out. They are going to stay flat. Even when we tip our hands, pinkies in or thumbs out, we want palms flat. The first step in this is we are going to bring fingers all the way down. And then we tip in towards the pinkies. It's not going to be a lot of range, but we try. We're going to continue to try to push in towards the pinkies as our hands come up towards the bellies. As they get all the way up here, we're going to tip out to the thumbs as much as we can. We're going to lose a little bit of that as we come down to flat. Keep trying to push out to the thumb as we bring them all the way back down. From here, we go in the other direction. So we're going to push back out to the thumbs. Don't let them rotate. This is where the hands really like to try to cup. We try to rotate them, but it's all the way up high. In towards the pinkies again. Trying to get more and more and more of that in towards the pinkies as we come down, down, down. Pointing down towards the floor. With any and all of these, we can do anywhere between 3 and 5 reps, and you can increase the intensity of how hard you're maintaining all of those directions as you go through. You can do a very light CAR that isn't going to be hard, right? I'm not pushing for more range of motion when I do that, all the way up to holding down and 100% effort through it, which is significantly harder, but also, good for warming up.